Good evening. The threat of terrorism has prompted an unprecedented police response to ensure the safety of ANZAC Day in South Australia. This year's commemoration's a century in the making. We have reporters in all corners of the city as well as at Gallipoli. And Elise Baker begins our coverage in Adelaide's north. Elise, young people are keeping the spirit of the Anzacs alive.
Yes, Brenton, every year it seems more and more young people attend ANZAC commemorations, and here in Smithfield it's no different. A youth vigil is about to get underway, one of a record 16 that will be held across the state. And this year there'll also be a record number of police keeping a watchful eye over our ANZAC events. Police are battle ready.
SAPOL is well aware of the recent terrorist arrests in Melbourne recently. And we are aware that they related to ANZAC Day events.
While the Assistant Commissioner says there are no credible threats facing South Australia, they want the public to be alert.
The reality is that we are all living in times whereby security is something that needs constant monitoring.
And it's not just police gearing up for a big day. Soldiers at the Woodside Barracks in full voice.
Regiment, eyes!
The centenary of ANZAC is particularly significant for Lieutenant Colonel Bernie White, as his great-uncle served at Gallipoli.
He landed in the first wave at Gallipoli on the morning of the 25th. He was in the 5th Battalion. Tomorrow I'll be wearing his dog tags underneath my uniform, so in commemoration.
Sites around the city, a sea of red. 8,141 poppies planted in Elder Park, representing the number who perished at Gallipoli.
We just really wanted to kind of show in a form just the significance of how many people were lost battling to save our future.
Hundreds of crocheted poppies planted on the lawns of the Repat Hospital. Melbourne's Federation Square also awash, many handmade by South Australians. There are more than 100 ANZAC Day events across the state. Public transport will be free to and from the dawn service and march in the city for past and present military personnel and those wearing service medals.
It's 100 years of service. So it is a pretty special day. If you're going to go to a dawn service in your life, tomorrow's is the one to get to.
Elise Baker, 9 News.
And the weather will feature once again on ANZAC Day. Virginia Langerberg joins us from the War Memorial on North Terrace. And Virginia, a severe weather warning in place tonight for Adelaide and much of the state.
Well, that's right, Brenton. It's been a damp day in the city. In fact, just a short time ago, we had a heavy burst of rain which sent people ducking for cover. But look, that's nothing compared to what's on the way tonight and in the early hours of the morning. We are expecting the worst of the bad weather tonight, where winds will reach gale strength. We'll have heavy bursts of rain and even possible thunderstorms too. Now, the good news is, though, while it will be wet, windy and cold tomorrow morning for the dawn services, the worst of the bad weather will have passed by then. Tonight, though, as hundreds of young people stand vigil to honour the fallen, the winds and rain will hit between now and 10 p.m. Now, the city can expect about another 10 to 15 millimetres of rain overnight, and a severe weather warning does remain in place for these 10 districts tonight, with wind gusts expected to exceed 90 kilometres per hour, and the Flinders and Mid-North are expected to be worst hit. Some areas could receive up to 50 millimetres of rain tonight. Now, it comes a week after Hawker and Corn were inundated with more than 100 millimetres of rain, which left the towns cut off by flash flooding. And the Weather Bureau says those areas and parts of the Mount Lofty Ranges are at risk tonight.
The flash flooding focus will be principally around the Mount Lofty Ranges into the mid-north. Higher ground is the area in which we'd be mostly concerned.
We'll have all our crews on standby and ready to go. We've already noticed an increase in our tempo of operations as this first front has come through, and we anticipate that increasing as the second weather comes through.
So tomorrow for those dawn services, it is expected to be wet and windy. There is about a 30% chance of shower activity. So we're expecting most of the showers to have cleared in the early hours of the morning, but the advice is rug up and prepare for potentially a shower or two. Brenton?
Indeed. Thank you, Virginia. And that forecast rough night will be felt by a contingent of campers braving the elements to honour the Anzacs. Kim Robertson is live at Morfordville Racecourse, and Kim, thousands are paying tribute in a very unique way.
That's right, Brenton. I'm here at Morphettville Racecourse, where literally thousands of people have gathered to celebrate the ANZAC centenary in a very special way. It's called Camp Gallipoli, and it is the ultimate ANZAC Day experience outside of being in Gallipoli itself, of course. And despite the chilly weather, the campers did arrive early. They've pitched their swags and tents because tonight, Brenton, they will brave the cold and sleep under the stars to pay their respects to the ANZAC diggers. The event's held here, Brenton, because Morphettville Racecourse is actually the birthplace of the 10th Battalion. It was here in August 1914 that South Australians were recruited to fight in World War I, so it's only fitting that 100 years later South Australians gather here for a night of remembrance, education and entertainment. There will be never-before-seen interviews with some of Australia's last surviving war veterans and performances from Australian rock bands Evermore and UMI, as well as, of course, a dawn service tomorrow. Here's what some of the campers had to say.
My dad was in the First World War in Egypt, so it's just thinking back like that, how we must have felt.
I'm an ex-serviceman, 20 years service, and my grandparents and my parents were servicemen.
We think it's just a great thing to come out here for.
Are you worried about the weather tonight or tomorrow?
No, not really. Well, it's nothing compared to what they had to go through.
It's just a great way to remember our guys that never made it, perhaps.
So, Brenton, the night is still very young. There's still plenty of fun and entertainment to be had, but the excitement is already building, and it's great to see that despite 100 years passing, the ANZAC spirit is very much still alive.
Yes, Kim, a fitting tribute. Thank you. And a major security sweep will begin at Gallipoli in just a few hours as thousands arrive at ANZAC Cove ahead of the dawn service. Among them, a group of Australian women whose husbands survived but always carried the scars of the Great War.
Their husbands were the lucky ones, men who fought at Gallipoli and the Western Front and came home. 10 widows on the eve of visiting the battlefield that haunted their men for years.
I can't believe what they went through. We'll find out, won't we?
He'd be very, very proud and very happy that I have been able to be here and honour what he did, really.
They married their husbands long after the war. Most say the men rarely mentioned it.
He was always so concerned for me, and I just think he was probably thinking, well done, girl, if he knew I was here now.
At the ANZAC Cove dawn service, they'll step back 100 years, some imagining the scene as their husbands dashed across the beach as the bullets flew. And for a few moments, the eyes of Australia will be on the members of the Federation Guard who make up the catafalque party.
You just want to get in position and make sure that obviously you don't trip over and that kind of thing, so that you can get down there and do Australia proud.
Much of the dawn service will follow the time-honoured tradition of previous ceremonies. To ensure everything runs perfectly, the Federation Guard here have been rehearsing for a year now.
It's very significant, 100th anniversary. I don't think any Australian would not be proud and honoured to be here.
And after the ANZAC Cove service, thousands will quietly walk up to Lone Pine. The rehearsals proving the service here will be just as sombre.
I'll be holding back a whirlwind of emotion, mother of pearl, but it'll be such an honour.
It will all unfold under the watchful eyes of Turkey's police and army. The country has preserved the site for 100 years, a mark of respect for the 120,000 allies and Turks who were buried here. The man who will have one of the most important jobs of all, surely, bugler Andrew Bartlett.
To continue the legacy that essentially was born here on the beaches of Gallipoli is an amazing honour.
And Mark Burrows now joined us live from Gallipoli. Mark, the Prime Minister has arrived. What has he been doing?
Well, Brenton here, the Prime Minister's had a busy day today. He's just arrived here at the Shrapnel Valley Cemetery, the final resting place of some 700 soldiers. At the moment, he's meeting the descendant of one of the Gallipoli veterans. He's talking to 95-year-old Ron Ayres from Victoria. After that, we expect him to plant a tree here, a new tree here at Shrapnel Valley in honour of those men who died here. After that, the Prime Minister will be touring some other battlefield sites here. He started the day early with a breakfast with sailors aboard the Australian frigate HMAS ANZAC, and there he said they were the embodiment of the ANZAC spirit and legend. He also got to visit the Lone Pine Cemetery, which is just up the hill from here. He'll be back at ANZAC Cove early in the morning local time for the 100th anniversary of the landing at Gallipoli, and there he will deliver an address to some of the 10,000 people who have made the visit here to Turkey for this special and historic occasion. Brenton.
All right, Mark, well, all the best tomorrow. And here in Adelaide, we'll have special coverage of the Anzac Day commemorations, starting with the first dawn service at 4:30 tomorrow morning before crossing live to services at Gallipoli and Villa Brittonner.